All right, Intro to Algebra students, we're going to review for your midterm. You need your midterm study guide and your 3x5 index card cheat sheet. One of the non-calculator things you are supposed to remember for your midterm is that squaring a value just means to multiply it by itself. And because squaring is just multiplying it by itself, there is an expectation that you would have some of the basic square values memorized. If these are not square values that you know by heart, then you should add them to your cheat sheet. The same thing is true for cube values. It is expected that you know that 2 to the third is equal to 2 times 2 times 2, which is equal to 8. And then that 3 to the third is 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. If you don't know the basic cube values, you should add them to your cheat sheet. When you're adding things to your cheat sheet, you do want to keep it small so that you can have plenty of room. So you should have the first 3 pages of your study guide completed, but we'll go through some examples with some advice on what to add to your cheat sheet, and we'll go through some answers in case you have questions. Make sure that if you have questions that aren't answered by the end of the video section, that you are asking Mrs. Porter in a room or before or after school. So when you're writing a mixed number as a decimal, you want to just bring over the whole number part. So I'm going to put 2 point, and then I'm leaving a space there, and that's where my decimal value is going to go. For a fraction values changing to a decimal is top divided by bottom. You will be expected to do that kind of division without your calculator on the first page of the midterm. So if that top divided by bottom is not something you remember, you should add it to your cheat sheet. So for this, we're doing 2 divided by 5. 5 doesn't go into 2, so we add a decimal, put it at the top, and a 0 placeholder. Then we're looking at 5 dividing into 20. 5 goes into 20 4 times, because 4 times 5 is 20. Then we subtract, and we get 0. When your remainder is 0, you're finished. So then I take that 0.4 and put it over here. So the answer there is 2.4. You're going to do the same thing for number 2. Enter your answer on Edpuzzle for number 2. For number 3, you're writing each decimal as a fraction. For decimal to a fraction, we follow the examples of read, write, reduce. We read the decimal as it's intended to be read, not as our habit. We get in a habit of saying negative 0.15, but we're supposed to read that as negative 1500ths. We write it that way. And then reduce if you can. This can be reduced because they can each be divided by 5. That gives you 3 over 20. So the simplified answer is negative 3/20. Do number 4. And enter your answer on Edpuzzle. For number 5, we're comparing. So you want to change them to the same form. So I'm going to change my mixed number to its decimal equivalent, which is 5.16 repeating. Then I'm going to take the square root of 27. Remember on your calculator, this is the second button, and then the x squared button, so that you get the square root sign. Then you put in the number and hit equals. This gives me 5 point approximately 5.196. So comparing, we've got the same first digit after the decimal, but then in the hundreds place, 9 is higher than 6. So that value is the greater value. For number 6, you're writing each expression using exponents. So we're going to take each value and just write them with exponents. Exponents is repeated multiplication. So c times c times c is c to the third times h, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here's saying how many factors there are. Enter your answers for numbers 7 and 8 on Edpuzzle. Watch that number 7 has a problem number in front of it that kind of matches what you're doing. You should have gotten 7 to the 4th and negative 11/14, putting it in parentheses because it's a fraction, to the 1, 2, 3, 4th as well. For number 9, your base is 1/4. Again, as a fraction, we put it in parentheses. And you count how many factors of 1/4 there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 1/4 to the 6th power. For number 10, we are evaluating the expression, which means we're plugging in values. So we have f is equal to 1/2, and we're taking that to the second. G is equal to 2/3, and you're squaring that. H is 3, and we're taking that to the third. And I is 28/5, and so we're filling that in as well. You should be able to plug that all into the calculator and get 16 4/5. Try evaluating the expression for number 11 and enter your answer on Edpuzzle. You should have plugged in 2 to the 4th times 4 squared. Two to the 4th is 16, and 4 squared is 16 as well. And 16 times 16 gives you 256. For the next part, we're multiplying expressions using exponents. Reminder to keep the base and add the exponents. You might want to put an example on your cheat sheet where you keep the base and add the exponents. Here, we should keep the base of 8 and add the exponents. When you have coefficients and you're multiplying, you simply multiply the coefficients. And then when you're multiplying variables, again, you're going to keep the base and add the exponents. For division, you keep the base and subtract the exponents. When you have a coefficient, you're going to divide them, and then keep your base and subtract the exponents. Enter your answer for 15 onto Edpuzzle. You should have gotten -1 x squared. For number 16, it's really just a matter of plugging everything into your calculator. So that's about plugging things in carefully. Enter your answer on Edpuzzle. You should have gotten -980. The quotient of power tools tells you what to do when you're dividing. You should keep the base and subtract the exponents. Which means this should be 5 to the 4th. Simplify the expression in B and enter your answer on Edpuzzle. You should have gotten 5m to the 4th. Dividing coefficients, keeping the base, and subtracting the exponents. We can use the quotient of powers rules here. We can't use the quotient of powers rules here because we don't have the same base. So that is already simplified. On number 18, we remind ourselves about raising a power to a power. You might want to write on your cheat sheet that raising a power to a power, you keep the base and multiply the exponents. So this should be n to the 40th. In number 19, we have a problem about a square tile. A square tile, that means all the sides are the same, has a side of 2x to the 3rd y. That means all the sides, because it's a square, are the same. You're looking for the area. The area of a square is equal to the side squared. So the area of this side, this square, is equal to the value of 2x to the 3rd y squared. So we raise a power to a power. We're going to share the power, so 2 squared. When we are multiplying exponents, when we're raising a power to a power, we're supposed to multiply the exponents. So we get x to the 6th and y squared. Simplify it even further. 2 squared is 4, and we've got x to the 6th, y squared. A reminder on 20 and 21 that negative exponents, 1 over x is the same thing as x to the negative 1. Again, that would be a good example to write on your cheat sheet. So that I can rewrite 20 as 9 to the negative 1 power. Enter your answer for 21. You should have gotten 6 to the negative 7th. Continue with 21. You should get 6 to the negative 7th. And for evaluating, again, we're just finding the value of. So you can use your calculator, but this would be equivalent to 1 over negative 5 to the 3rd, which is going to give me negative 1 over 125. 23 is equal to 1 over 3 to the 4th. Of course, 3 to the 4th is 81. For 24, you should get 1 over 10 to the 6th. Just changing the power to positive from the negative exponent. Make sure you add any examples that you need to your cheat sheet, but leave room. We've got lots of study guide to go.